Good day to all who are watching. It is the Empowered Educator, and I am back with another video that was on my heart to share with you today. And today I am going to jump right in with our topic, which is centered around my practice of self-selected literacy centers. And before we dig in, I want to give a shout out to all of my new subscribers. Welcome to each and every one of you all. Thank you so much for joining this channel. And please continue to like, follow, and share the content that we delve into throughout the upcoming videos, okay? So before I go any further, I'm going to give an overview about what the mission, vision, and values of Empowered Educator are, okay? So the mission is to empower priority school educators, children, and families through culturally responsive instructional practices that promote marginalized student academic achievement and positive behavior outcomes. The vision is to empower and educate the whole child, as well as their caregivers and teachers, through culturally responsive instructional practices and routines. And our values of Empowered Educator are to teach a mind, to touch a heart, and to change a life. And we know that through each of these components that we are making a difference in the lives that we want to see every day. Okay? So today, I am addressing the use of self-selected literacy centers in the K through 5 learning space. And some of you might be asking, well, what exactly are self-selected literacy centers? And I've clearly defined my practice as learning activities driven by student choice. Just to be short and sweet, I take the opinions of my students as well as any reading or writing data to identify the instructional needs that students are ready for. I don't pick activities that are not easy for the students to do, especially since I teach students who need more academic support most of the time. And if you are a classroom teacher that also notices that your students need more guided practice or guided support, I would also encourage you to utilize centers that are easy to navigate. So that way, when you are pulling your small group for guided reading, you're not having to stop instruction so that you can help students understand the content of the activity that they're engaged in. Okay, because distractions and interruptions, it stops the whole learning process. So I have some photos and videos of the way I utilize SelfCare centers in my classroom, and I'm going to share them with you in this video. And while you all take a look at them, I'd like you to ask yourself what might be some noticings and wonderings that you have. And I'll also give a little blurb about each photo that we come across in this video, okay? So here are students engaged in my newest center that I opened this year, and it is called SelfCare Center. And students have a set of tools for stress relief, memory retention, overcoming anxiety, and creative self-expression in their kids. And these can also be used at the break or cool down area of the classroom. I call my cool down area Make That Change, and I'll tell you a little bit more about why that is as we get to it, okay? So that is a very popular center. And what I love most about this center is that these are primary students, and what they're learning is to be self-conscious and aware of when they need to take some time for themselves. And students they're taking on that leadership. We're not waiting until there's a meltdown. We're not waiting until you have to call for the student to be removed from the classroom. The student is aware that I need to take some time for myself, whether that be through some creative self-expression or practicing writing, but they're taking that ownership. They're taking on that responsibility of handling that themselves. And that's what I love most about this center. On the left side of the screen, we have a student practicing their letter formation and neat print. And we have some more students making words on the other side using magnetic letters and whiteboards. And there's also some snap cubes on the other side. And included in this center are some sight word cards that students can use. And then there's words all around the room. I always tell kids to read the room, to think about other words that they can practice building, reading, and stretching. So we also have the Read to Self Center on the left side of the screen. And I also encourage students to pick up some of those stuffed animals over there and read to a stuffed animal. And then on the right side, there is that break area that I call Make That Change. And I named it after Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror song because it's one of my favorite songs. And I know that the only way that we wish to make a difference in this world is through the change that we have to develop within ourselves. Over here, you can see there's books for students to read. There are positive affirmation coloring sheets and cards for students to make so that they can continue to work on those self-calming tools and strategies to be awesome learners. Above that, there's a poster that talks about taking deep breaths. And as I continue to develop my self-care kits, there will be more strategies included in there where students can utilize those kits and take them home at the end of the school year. So here's a glimpse of how we get down with centers in the classroom. And in the middle there, you can also see the Make a Mini Book Center, which kids love and enjoy. Chromebooks, some students journaling. I have my expectations of what the directions are for literacy centers up on the projected in front of the classroom as well. We go over those before we actually delve into them. You can see students utilizing the break area. And I do not own the rights to the music that you hear in the background, but I do love to play some calm, relaxing, smooth jazz or calm piano music in the background to create that calm and nice area in the classroom. So here are the options students have to choose from currently. Of course, I'll change centers up as we continue to go through the school year and as we learn more skills and increase in reading levels. But we do centers in 3 rotations, and students will get to pick 3 centers each day that they would like to engage in. We normally do them for about 18 minutes each, and then there's a 2-minute time for transitions between those breaks, between those centers, And as you can see, the centers are pretty differentiated. We got making words, practice sight word tracing and reading, read to self, Chromebook Center. And then on the Chromebook, students have the opportunity to engage in Exact Path, which is it's a tier 2 website that we use for students or tier 2 computer-based program that students can use that also aligns with their MAP scores and works on skills that they're ready for. And they can also get on Prodigy, which is a fun game that kids like to get on as well. So on a side note, Students are very intentional about which centers they want to go to. They normally don't go to the center their friends are at because I explained that reading time or literacy time is about you and how you're growing as an author and an illustrator. So I tell kids that if you have good friends, you'd want them to be the better versions of themselves. So during this time, I'm very serious about making sure that each kid gets what they need and that everybody in the classroom is working together as a team to ensure that we're reaching those academic goals in the areas of reading and writing. So now I'm just going to give you a little information about the why. Why self-selected literacy centers? Well, here's 4 points. For student ownership, autonomy, choice. It also increases student motivation to do the work and willingness. And the how. So the best way that I can explain that I developed my self-selected literacy centers are through this 3-step process. And really it's more than that, but just to shrink it down, I've condensed it into 3 different steps. So first, I utilize data and the opinions of my students to identify the priority skills that students need to learn. And right now, this is a first grade class, and there are students on different levels that need instruction right where they are. And each student is ready for something different. So I'm very intentional about picking centers, especially in the beginning of the school year, that kind of revisits standards from the kindergarten grade level that they need to revisit or need some freshening up on as they enter first grade. As I said before, you saw some kiddos letter tracing, you saw some kiddos making words, and some kiddos are reading themselves, and some of those kids are actually reading some of those words in those books besides just the pictures. I tell kids reading pictures is the same thing as reading. The second thing that I do after I've identified what skills students need to practice, I research activities that require minimal prep. I think that there are great activities out there. Unfortunately, we are just lacking a lot of support in areas. We had an exodus of teachers that occurred nationwide. And with that, our children do not have as much guided support in some of the areas that they need. So self-selected literacy centers takes pressure away from needing push-in support and allowing kids to kind of be more creative with activities that they're learning. And then also having activities that are minimum prep. That means I'm not having to waste an entire planning period or extra time outside of school to prepare and plan for the activities that are within those centers. And then finally, the last thing that I do to execute centers is actually do the work. I've created a plan for what skills need to be taught, what activities I'm going to use to facilitate that learning. Now it's all about practice. How am I going to put the work into play? And I go back to Vygotsky's theory of instructional scaffolding. And I like to think about that in broken down into 4 different parts. First, it starts off with being very intentional about teacher modeling. After the teacher has modeled the skill or the activity that students are going to do, then we do some guided practice. During that guided practice phase, I am gradually releasing students and so that they can be independent when it comes to doing the assignment. An example of this is through writing that we're doing right now. In reading, we're learning about the central idea and key details. And what I have students doing is using the sentence stem. This story is mostly about, this assignment's actually available on Teachers Pay Teachers. If you have not gotten it, I highly recommend you do that. But they write, this story is mostly about, they fill in that blank, we fill in the blank together. That's kind of the modeling part of it. And then the I know because, I write that sentence stem for them to think about a key detail they can use to support the main topic. And then I ask them to write another sentence that supports basically the story that they've told, the summary that they've told about the text that we've read. So that's how you utilize that. That's just an example of how you can utilize the instructional scaffolding theory. So this is basically what I did in my classroom. And this is how we got to where we are. We had centers and self-selected literacy centers down at the end of September. So now I am pulling students into my guided reading group, and I'm excited to be doing a video about what that looks like here in the near future. So with that, again, there's my business card. It talks about other services as well as programs and products that I provide under this business. Recommended reads for teachers to continue teacher research, and then your homework. All right. If you're looking for a way to diversify your literacy centers, here is the way to do it. It's something that's a little bit more different, something that your students definitely are going to feel like they have autonomy and ownership of, and that's going to motivate them to do the work and get it done. So thank you all so much for your attention today. Please drop a comment down in the comment section below. Like and subscribe to this video. This channel, and please share this content amongst others. If you are a teacher who is interested in taking part in my gift giveaway, I highly encourage you to access that link down in the comment section below, where you can sign up to receive a gift. I'm picking one classroom teacher and one class set of kids to receive a gift of student self-care kits, okay? This is the chance to continue to make mental health a priority inside of the classroom and get that personalized opportunity adopted inside of your classrooms. So thank you all again so much. I am the Empowered Educator. You all take care, and I look forward to reading your comments below.